Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is Letters to Blue. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. I have been a medical coder for over 10 years. Every week, I take the letters that I get from emails and from comments, and I put it all into one episode. And it's sort of like Q&A Tuesday, but extended, because I talk about a whole letter from people, and I give my opinions on it, and I share it with you guys. So let's go ahead and get started. And if you would like your letter read and submitted for next Letters to Blue, just comment below or shoot me an email and I'll put it on a future episode. Okay, so let's get started. All right, first letter. Hi, I'm old school to finishing an MA program a year ago. I did all written flashcards on all of the abbreviations, medical terminology, and surgical tools. But now I am in the medical records program that's including coding, insurance, and compliance online. And it's so much more intense than going to campus. So having to learn all anatomy, physiology, and coding and billing with the disease course. This seems so unreal to master and self-focus. I like the crossword idea. My mom used to master those all through my high school years, and I had never had an interest. Now I need to, LOL. Thanks for your input, and I hope I can breeze through this program and be done by April and pass the exam that I will have to study harder and pass. Any suggestions for that? So what she was talking about here was with the crosswords, I have my Patreon channel. Patreon, if you don't know, is like YouTube, but you basically pay the creator for all their content on there. And with Patreon, I do post crossword puzzles to help with medical terminology, and I post those 4 times per month at least. And it's just a really fun way to do medical terminology, to learn it. And I did those. My mom did those for me when I was in school. So I know it really helped me with my medical terminology. And it's just, like I said, it's another fun way to study. I tried to look for alternatives in ways of sort of getting people's mind engaged when they're looking at these different topics. And so I'll do worksheets and things like that. If you're interested, my Patreon pledges start out at just $1, and it gives you access to all of that. So I don't believe that finances should ever be a barrier. That's why I make it that price, because, you know, it's information that I think would be useful. When I became a medical coder, this was a gift. Honestly, I went through a program. It's now called the WIOA program, the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. So I didn't have to pay for this program. And I paid for a little bit of my test, but that was it. And the only thing I had to do was agree to get a job or try to find a job in the field that I was trained. Luckily, I did. And because of this, I mean, this, like I said, this was a gift. So I'm not going to be greedy with the things that I learn. That's why I share it. That's why I do my channel. That's why I have Patreon. That's why I do all of these things, because I think that it's only fair that I do that. And I like to do that. I like to share all the things that I know. And when it comes to the HIM field and medical coding, a lot of times, you know, this information doesn't always get shared. And a lot of times people are just like, well, you know, I don't want people to think that I think I know everything. I don't think that I know everything, but I share what I know. Okay, and there's a difference there when you share what you know, and when you're doing it and it's sincere, you know, I think it's a great thing. So that's why I do it. And I think it's important when you are learning to try to find different alternatives. And she's asking for suggestions on like how to study and things. Look for alternatives. You know, watch YouTube videos, watch the surgeries, so that way you can start listening to the verbiage when they're narrating these surgeries. You can get used to hearing that, because when you see it and when you hear it, and then finally when you read it, it's going to click and make sense. A lot easier than somebody who is just looking at the book and trying to read it. And when you're trying to study also, you can use the recorder on your phone and read out loud something that is troubling you, like you can't retain it. Read it, put it on a voice note on your phone, play it back when you are driving in your car, or when you're walking, or when you're working out or doing something. So that way you can listen to yourself. And that way you can keep things on repeat, because repetition is the key to adult education. So that is one of the suggestions that I also have. So like I said, you look for those alternative ways of studying. Try to take breaks. Remember, don't cram. Whatever you do not cram for your tests, or do not cram studying, because you're not going to be able to retain it if you just do that, if you put your brain under too much pressure. That's just my advice. Okay, next letter. Hi, Blue. I just wanted to let you know that I'm a new viewer to your medical coding YouTube channel. Thank you for creating this channel. I am an older student in college, and I'm getting ready to transfer to, I'm not going to say the program, but it is completely online. I did have a couple of questions. Given the current COVID state, do you think more people are electing to switch their education from face-to-face to online? And my second question is, have you heard of any online internships for people in school? The reason for my career change is that I am now taking care of an elderly parent, and it is difficult to attend regular classes. First, I will have to say that when it comes to are people electing to switch their education from face-to-face to online, I think in some areas it's not even an option right now, because with COVID out there, a lot of stuff is going virtual online. And it does make it difficult to learn, because when you're face-to-face with somebody, it's a lot easier to gauge whether or not that they're understanding. And if you're able to do that, then you can change how you're presenting it, as far as like if you need to explain it a little bit more, or they can sort of tell you why. Because sometimes when medical coders are learning, or medical coding students are learning, it's hard to formulate the questions, right? Because even me, I've had those moments where I'm like, how do I say this? Like, I know what I want to say, but I don't know how to say it. So it's just easier when you're in person. However, because of the current state, we have to deal with what we have to deal with. So it is a fact of life right now that you're learning online. However, I will say, just because you're going to a place does not necessarily mean you're getting hands-on training. I went to school for medical coding over a decade ago, and I was literally sat in front of a computer and said, here, learn. I may as well have been at home. You know what I'm saying? For all the instruction that I get, which was nothing. We had a coder who would come in and talk about, coding and things like that, but it wasn't like hands-on instruction. He would just sort of talk to us, and he was a little creepy, so I didn't talk to him too much. I tried to not, spend too much time with him, but, he was the expert that would come in and talk to us, so that was all we had. So I essentially learned on my own, and that's basically what a lot of us do. So there's not really anything I could say too much for that one there. But the second question is, have I ever heard of any online internships for people in school? No, I've never heard of that, because internships are typically in person. However, because of the pandemic, it's causing us to change our approach. So maybe there's places that are doing that. I don't know. I personally haven't heard of that myself. Not to say that it's not happening out there, but I have never heard of it. And if you're looking towards that for like experience and things like that, it is difficult in the beginning when you're trying to find a job. And of course, you're telling everybody that you don't have experience, but it is going to take you having a really good resume and a really good cover letter to get the hiring manager's attention. I have quite a few viewers who have gotten their credential in the middle of the pandemic, went out and got jobs. And they're working at home right now because everybody's at home. And that's the way that it worked out for them. But they got their jobs, so it's not impossible. It's just going to take some effort. So make sure that you are really looking at your resume. Make sure that it is solid, and the same thing with your cover letter. These things are your calling card. This is what is going to get you noticed, because you're not out there physically in person, but they have your resume. And if your resume looks good, then you can get that attention. If not, if it looks like everybody else's resume and it looks too run-of-the-mill, oh, I'm a team player and I have excellent skills, okay, great. You're just like the 100 other people who've applied. What is going to make you stand out? Now, I do professional coaching if you're interested. Part of my professional coaching is resume reviews. So if you're interested in that, shoot me an email. It is $25 per hour. But I mean, you get the benefit of having one-on-one with me over Zoom. And then I do mock interviews. So if you're wanting to sharpen your virtual interview skills, let me know and we can set that up. All right. So that's pretty much all I can say for that. And I think it's great that you're taking the time to take care of your elderly parent. I know that it is a lot and it's going to be a lot on your plate, but you're doing really good as far as like trying to set this up to where you're going to be the most successful. And yes, it is going to take effort to balance that, but you know, you're doing good, and I just wish you the best on your journey, and I wish you all the strength that you need to take care of your elderly parent. And like I said, I think it's really an honorable thing when children take care of their elderly parents. Okay, so next letter. I did have a couple, okay, wait. I've been taking medical coding and billing since last August. I'm almost done with the course, and I have been doing well up until now. I'm at a point where I have become very discouraged. I'm at the point in the course where it goes back through each part of the course and you code medical records. I'm having a very hard time deciphering the primary, secondary, and when to put Z codes, add-ons, and modifiers. I get some things right, but most of everything else is wrong. I have been looking for help everywhere, and I have not been able to find anyone until I came across you. Do you think you would be able to take just a little time to help me sometime? I've got until this coming February to finish, and I would appreciate any help you can give me. So here's what I can say to that. Always when we're going back through and doing that review at the end, it always seems like we don't know. Like, right? Like, I learned all this stuff and now it just went away. What that is a combination of like nerves, right? You're almost getting done with your program and it's almost a light at the end of the tunnel. So you're thinking, oh, maybe I don't know what I'm doing. And you sort of have that instinct to pump the brakes, right? If you've gone through the program and you're going back through now, then you know where to look for your answers, right? As far as like, they don't know which one is primary, secondary, and when to put the Z codes. Well, there was a chapter on that. And in every program, there's always going to be a chapter on your primary and your secondary and the Z codes. There's always going to be that. There's also the diagnosis book that you can look at. If you're using the Optum 360 coding books, I strongly recommend Optum 360, even an older version, just to look at, just to study on. Is really good, because Optum 360, and this is not an ad, but Optum, if you're watching, call me. Optum 360 coding books have so much information, and yes, I'm sure there's other books out there, but from what I know of these books are amazing, and the way that they're put together, and the way that they are, the way they have this extra information in it, it just makes it so much easier to use. So I strongly recommend that you look at your diagnosis book, and if you have another one, if you have the AAPC version, still look at it. I haven't seen one, so I can't really tell you guys what's in it. But I will tell you, if you take the time to explore your book, it will help you. So just be sure to look back through those things. Don't get that fear. Don't let that fear take over you, right? That you don't really know what you're doing, because yeah, you do. You're not, it's blocking because you get nervous. That's the thing right there, right? And as far as like, if I could take a little time to help them, I don't mind helping, but this sounds like a lot. It does sound like there's more things, more than what meets the eye, as far as like what they need actual help with, because I know that with a lot of programs, sometimes there's not a whole lot of hands-on coaching with these medical coding programs. And it depends on where you're going, and it depends on if you're online or in person. I know everybody's online right now. If you are struggling to get through a program that you're online and there's not a whole lot of instruction, take the time to look back through my videos. I do have a lot of demonstration videos. I have Quiz Friday videos where I used to put together quizzes, and then I would talk about the answers on an Answer Monday episode. I have a whole playlist for Quiz Friday, and I have the corresponding Answer Monday episode at the end of it. The reason that I stopped doing it because no one was watching them. That was pretty much why I stopped doing it, and then why I started doing it on Patreon, because there the people want to have the quizzes and things like that. So I submit to the will of the people on that one. I do still have some demonstration videos on how to look up, codes and things like that as far as diagnoses and procedures on my YouTube channel. So there's plenty of resources on my channel. And if all else fails, you can always book a session with me, one-on-one tutoring. And sometimes it's just that extra, the little bit of a push to be like, okay, yes, this is what you need, and this is what you're looking at. If you are a member of my Patreon channel, the first hour is $20. If you are not a member of my Patreon channel, it is $25 for the first hour of tutoring, $15 for the second hour if it goes into another hour. So that is an option for you. And it's I think having that one-on-one coaching from somebody that really does love what they do. I love what I do. And I have always said, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And that's what I do. When it comes to coding, this is not work for me. This is a joy, and I get joy out of it. And I enjoy the teaching part of it too. And, that's just me, So if you're interested in that, let me know. Other than that, all I can do is recommend that you just take a deep breath, go back through and read and just review and know that you really, really honestly, you do have this. And there's nobody that's going to know the same things that you've been through as far as like in school. And so just take a deep breath. Like I said, go back through and you'll be able to get it. It's when you start overthinking that's the thief of dreams. Don't do that. Don't overthink. You've got this. So that's my advice. And the last letter. I have been watching your videos. I'm an RN with a BSN, and I wanted to know if you suggest a certain online program to start learning. I want to be a medical coder as a second job to support my family. I saw that the test is $2.99, and I'm guessing that's the main test. I need to take my certification. I'd really appreciate the help since I have no idea where to start. Thank you. And I sent an email and I asked which test was she referring to. She never returned my email. So because of this, I don't know what test she's referring to for $2.99. I will say this. She wants this as a second job to help support her family. Medical coding is not a side gig, right? For brand new medical coders. It's not. You have to be full-time. This is not a part-time gig for people who have no experience. If you have experience, they do have positions called PRN, and that you can apply for if you have experience. But if you don't have any experience, it's not something that you can do as a side hustle. And that's one of the things that it's like really side hustle. This is not a side hustle thing for brand new medical coders, okay? You have to be there when you are a brand new medical coder. Although I will say this, with nurses, many facilities get excited when they see a nurse that wants to be a medical coder because nurses know how to talk to providers. And nurses know what should be there in the documentation. And that's something that a lot of medical coders, it takes years to be able to cultivate that knowledge, right? But with nurses, it's there because it's in their training as well. So it is something that you can look into. When you're looking at these tests and things like that, know what you're looking at, right? Know what you're looking at. And make sure that you understand which credential are you trying to sit for. Because for what I know, when it comes to $2.99, if you are not a member of the associations, that looks a little low to me. So, and it's for somebody that's brand new into medical coding. I don't think that they're a member of AHIMA. So that's another thing too. And not all credentials are created equally. I will say that also. If you are wanting to be a medical coder, a competitive medical coder, you need to be certified with the American Health Information Management Association or the American Academy of Professional Coders. I have many videos on where to start. looking to become a medical coder, and I will link some down in the description box below. But I've always said to go directly to the association websites themselves. And if you're taking the time to do the research, you'll know, where to go. But that's pretty much where I can say on that one. Like I said, I never got a response back from this person, so I don't know what credential they were talking about for $299. And like I said, if you're wanting to do this, I have many videos. I have a whole playlist on where to start learning about medical coding. So please take the time to go through those videos. That's why I do these videos, to give you guys the information. So when I get questions like this, it's like, okay, go through the videos, and that way that will help you. I have over 400 videos, so I try to keep them organized. That's why I do have the playlist. So be sure to go through the playlist. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you want your letter read on my next episode, let me know. And I will go ahead and wrap this one up. If you are a medical coder, a medical coding student, somebody curious about the fascinating world of medical coding, a provider, or a nurse, I invite you to like and subscribe and follow me on my journey in medical coding. I will see y'all next time. Bye!